I have this Song of Songs series, and surely and slowly we are moving towards the end of the first chapter. I'm planning to finish it by the end of the millennial reign of Christ. So I'm not in a hurry with that. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyards of Engedi. And this is the bride talking about the bridegroom. We talking about Jesus. Like, Jesus, you are like that to me. And henna, we know the henna paint, but it was used for painting back then. But more than that, it was like it was used for all kinds of perfumes and cosmetics and some for medical causes. So it was like you know, used like a herb for all kinds of purposes. And it was fragrant and not in all of Israel was it available, but in Engedi it was especially grown. I tried to do my homework. So it was used for all kinds of things, but this word in Hebrew means redeeming grace as well. So it means henna, but also redeeming grace, and it's kind of funny. Like, you are like a whole you are like a whole you're like an immense weight of like redeeming grace. In vineyards is something like fruit gardens and vineyards are like very central throughout the Bible. Like, it all starts with the garden and fruit, and in the Old Testament the prophets talk about that Israel is the vineyard of the Lord, and when Jesus comes, he shares about this the parable where the father sends him to his vineyard. The vineyard is the person, and the vineyard is humanity and his whole bride. And he came to his own, and his own didn't recognize him, so he was thrown out of this vineyard, beaten, and humanity didn't accept him, and it was all related to Vineyard. Like, he was casted out of the father's vineyard. And the end of this whole story is in the revelation that there are these gardens, there are these plants that grow fruit in and out of season. it was a vineyard that was first discovered of the promised land. Like when Joshua and Caleb visited this land, they saw how big the grapes and the fruits were, and they just took one grape to show the others like what kind of fruits are there. So yeah, so vineyards and fruit gardens are quite essential, and it represents the whole of humanity, the whole church, and the individual as well. So he came into his garden, and he was casted out. Like when Jesus came to earth, he came to humanity, and he was neglected. And in other verses of the Song of Solomon, he comes into it, his garden, and he's well received, and he's loved by the bride. And Getty is also a funny part because I don't shy to act like I am like a philosopher or scholar or something like that. These are tiny things that I discovered with a little bit of research. And Gadi also means fountain of the lamb. So in the middle of this vineyard, in you, there is a fountain of the lamb. In the middle of the vineyard, the humanity, there was this tree, the tree of life, the fountain of the lamb. And whoever believes in me, fountains of living water, you know the verse. So it's, yeah, there is this vineyard, you and humanity, and there is a fountain of the lambs springing in the inside of it. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blossoms from the vineyards of En-Gedi. We could say that Jesus is like a whole bunch of redeeming grace, an incredible amount of redeeming grace that is healing, that is beautifying, that is by the fountain of the Lamb, in the inside of the vineyard, that is you, in the inside of the vineyard, that is the whole of humanity. I don't think I can add anything to that. I don't say that it means that. I only say that it can even mean that. Bye.